I'm inspired also by Brené Brown's work. I'm not sure if anyone has heard of Brené Brown, a leading researcher in vulnerability. She links courage and vulnerability in a very interesting way. And she actually talks about courage as starting with showing up and being seen. Showing up and being seen. And that's exactly what Glenn did. He showed up one day to work and he allowed himself to be seen as someone who didn't have the answers. Someone who didn't have the answers. It's a really challenging thing to do, but counterintuitively, it's the first step in this expeditionary leadership. So I'd like to encourage you to think now about your situations back in your workplaces. Perhaps you're facing a difficult challenge, a situation which is a little bit harder to solve, where you don't have the answer as yet. Maybe this is an opportunity for you to show up and be seen by your people in a different way. Maybe it's an opportunity to say, I don't know, let's solve this together. So the second step on this path to expeditionary leadership is the capability of entertaining doubt. That opens up, it's a great benefit, doubt. Doubt opens up the door to curiosity, it opens up the door to exploration, to a new way of learning and seeing what is around us. As you know what it's like when you drive down the same road day by day and you kind of forget to pay attention, and you might end up at your destination having no idea how you got there. There is a danger in doing that, and our human brains are wired for that certainty, creating pathways and shortcuts all the time. It's what psychologists call heuristics. So David White, again, an inspiration for me, he's a Welsh poet. He says, if you think you know where you are, you stop looking. If you think you know where you are, you stop looking. So if you think you have the answer, you stop questioning. Why be curious? This is exactly what is necessary in times of great uncertainty. When we find ourselves in uncharted territory, there's an opportunity to open the door to doubt. Or as management thinker and author Charles Handy says, to sleep on the pillow of doubt. To sleep on the pillow of doubt. I love that. So how do we see our surroundings with fresh eyes? The more uncertain and the more unpredictable the world becomes, that is the very opportunity we're given to really pay attention, to sense, to explore, to collect data, and to see things with fresh eyes, not with old eyes. Let's do a little experiment now. This is about seeing things with fresh eyes. You might have someone next to you who you know. You might be sitting next to a friend or a colleague. I'd like you to turn to that person and just have a look, say hi. If you don't know anyone next to you, maybe, and you're not comfortable, have a think about someone who you know really well. Yeah, think about someone who you know really well. Okay? All right, so are you ready? Does everyone have either a partner right next to them or maybe an imaginary partner? Yeah? Yeah? Good? All right. Okay, so I'd like you to look at each other. Like to look at each other just for a moment. Might be a little bit uncomfortable, but look at each other. And bring to mind, quietly, don't talk, bring to mind any preconceived ideas, judgments, stories, facts that you have about this person. Bring to mind anything that you're holding about this person that you think you know about them. Okay? Bring that to mind. Surface those judgments, surface those stories. And now, when you're ready, let go. The person in front of you is an utter mystery to you. The person in front of you is an utter mystery to you. They have a story that you don't know. They have a birth. They have dreams and aspirations that you can't even conceive. The person in front of you is an utter mystery to you? So say thanks. And anyone would like to share, what was that like? Letting go, seeing someone with fresh eyes. How did you go? Anyone closer? I might pick on someone closer. How easy was it? Can you imagine that it's pretty challenging? The better you know the person, the harder it is to let go of what you know. And so the opportunity for you, when back in your workplaces, is to start looking at things with fresh eyes, even though they may look familiar, especially when you're dealing with difficult challenges that you're not able to solve yet. So, Living the Question is an invitation that we have from philosopher Rainer Maria Rilke, who has written extensively on the art of questioning. So what are the questions that you need to ask, and how can you create a culture in your own workplaces which encourage that curiosity and that questioning, and is less reliant on or less dependent on expertise and answers? The last capability or quality that we need in expeditionary leadership is compassion. And we hear a lot about compassion, maybe outside of the management world, a little bit, it's coming in now. It's actually, I think it's an overlooked and underrated quality. It's one that is especially necessary when we are in times when we're finding ourselves in uncharted territory. We often say to people, yes, go ahead, try something new, fail, you'll learn from it, you'll grow. Failure is really good, and failure is great. What we forget that together with failure comes great disappointment, potentially shame, guilt. We feel that we should have been responsible, we should have known, we should have done things better. However, that is not possible when we're facing with a challenge that we've never faced before, or a situation that challenges us in ways in which we couldn't have expected. So the opportunity is to be really kind to ourselves. To, as my good friend Andrew says, he says to me, put away the sandpaper. Put away the sandpaper. We're so good at pulling out the sandpaper and really giving ourselves a really rough rub. So there's an opportunity here to build our capacity for resilience when it gets harder, when things get harder in our workplaces, by really being compassionate to ourselves and to others. The more we can do that, the more we can encourage people to come along on the journey. We can actually mobilize people to face into these biggest challenges that we're facing in a way in which just pushing them along or encourage them won't do. So I wanted to finish with a quote from Rebecca Solnit. Rebecca Solnit is an author who writes extensively about hope. Writes extensively about hope and the connection between hope and activism. And I feel that we live in a world in which taking action is becoming more important than ever. So it is an opportunity to really look at ourselves, look at what we're doing, and look at how can we exercise leadership in a way in which we can actually enter into that uncharted territory with a bit more courage, with a bit more curiosity, and with a bit more compassion. So I have her notes, her quote here. She says, "Hope locates itself in the premises that we don't know what will happen, and that in the spaciousness of uncertainty, there is room to act." In the spaciousness of uncertainty, there is room to act. Hope is an embrace of the unknown and the unknowable, an alternative to the to the certainty of both optimists and pessimists. It's an alternative to the certainty of both optimists and pessimists. It's the belief that what we do matters, even what, when, or who it may impact are not things that we can know in advance. So it is my hope to you today that you can take a little bit of hope and inject that into your work with a bit of courage, with a bit of curiosity, and with a bit of compassion in the surface of your leadership work on the things that matter most to you and your people. Thank you. Thank you.